time for Straight Talk Live with renowned radio pioneer Edna Howell-Parrish, the television show and podcast dedicated to presenting thought-provoking issues and opinions with the goal of challenging listeners to re-examine their assumptions and expand their opinions and give thought to new ideas and concepts to better their lives and the lives of others. This is your opportunity to participate in making the world better. So without further ado, let's get ready for Straight Talk Live with your host Edna Howell-Parrish.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the show, everybody. Hi, I'm Edna. Today we're talking about water. W-A-T-E-R, water. Now, in the Bible, water is a reoccurring symbol. It has a lot of meanings representing life, cleansing, and spiritual transformations. It's used in many different contexts, many narratives and teachings. And Jesus symbolizes both physical and spiritual needs. Water is a spiritual transformation. Living water is to quench your thirst. Living water could quench your spirit. But what about when you really get thirsty and your mouth is dry and you need water to drink? Some people don't have that pleasure to have water to drink. And we're talking today about water. And our guest is Judith Warren from Zion Global Ministries. Welcome to the show, Judith. Welcome. I know that we're talking about water.
Edna, thank you so much for having me.
It's fine to have you here today. We're talking about living water. I said everybody doesn't have the pleasure to have that water to quench their thirst. What happens to people that can't get water in many different ways?
Well, what happens, things can happen to their body physically, their spirit, it can cause, anxiety, frustration. It can cause, those I think are the main two things that can happen when people don't have adequate clean water. They may have water, but it's not safe to drink, nor is it in abundance.
You at Zion Global Ministries in Westchester, Ohio. And Zion Global Ministries has a special ministry, an event coming up. Tell us about that event and what it has to do with water and what you have to do with the project.
Thank you. So on April 25th, Friday, April 25th, we're having our first benefit dinner and celebration, an evening in Africa. And the purpose of the event is to celebrate the funds we have raised and the work that has been completed, phase 1 in Kenya. And I am chairing the committee along with a wonderful planning committee team for the event.
An evening in Africa. Tell us about that evening, what you hope to be the outcome, and if you make money, what will that money be used for?
Well, we hope that first of all, we will celebrate and thank the people who have donated so far. We've had generous supporters from the church and in the community, out of town, out of state, that have supported the project so far. And then what we also want to come out is to show them what significance or importance this project is, because it's meeting a very basic need. You may be able to go many days without food, but not without water. And so the funds that we are raising will help to complete our campaign goal of $50,000, which will help us to now go forward and identify, do the next phase of research and development to go to the next phase of 2 more communities where we can offer the same type of improvement that we have done in this first village.
Now, it might seem easy for people to think, well, water, why can't you just ship a big shipment of water, bottled water over to Kenya, and that would solve the problem? That would give people water to drink. But in the long run, is that what you're really trying to do?
Not at all, because they can go to their different locations, nothing close by to where these villages are, where they can stand in line for hours to fill big jugs like we have when we go to the grocery store and replace our empty jugs, or it's delivered to our homes. So they could do that, but that's not the goal. The goal is to not only provide water for drinking, but to provide water for farming. And that's a way that they can grow crops, generate an income, take the harvest from those crops and sell them at the market, be able to feed their families, maintain good hygiene. So it's not just about the bottled water that we take for granted for drinking. It's for all the other uses that we use water for: brushing our teeth, washing our clothes, and all those are basic necessities that we want to help to support the villages where we are.
Campaign for living water, campaign for clean water. Global Ministries, Zion Global Ministries, their theme, your mission is the church is to win back what belongs to God through reaching, through teaching, restoring, and building. And so this ministry in Kenya, what is the name of the village that you're working with specifically in Kenya?
What is the name of the village that you're working with specifically? It's Tsekuru. You don't spell it like it's pronounced, but Tsekuru is about a 5-hour trip from Nairobi, which is the capital of Kenya, to this remote area northeast of Nairobi. And the relationship between Zion Global Ministries and this church, Village Church, started probably in about 2009. And there was the first missions trip that took about 20 people to travel to Tsekuru and start to develop and form a relationship, friendship. Everything, especially in Africa, is built on relationship. So, you just can't come into the village and say, this is what you want to do without getting to know the people, meet the people, have dinner fellowship with the people. So that's the name of the village. And from there, Tsekuru, there are 5 other locations that are kind of within about a 100-mile radius. But people may be able to find on a map Kitui County, Kitui, which is where Tsekuru is located within that county.
Now, how did Zion Global Ministries select Tsekuru as the village that they were going to help with this clean water campaign?
As the village that was going to help with this clean water campaign? That started with our pastor, senior pastor, lead pastor, Freddie T. Pifus, that was part of a pastoral ministry team that was organized by a global nonprofit to visit the area, the region. And the interesting thing about it was that he is an African American, and this was the first time that these African village had seen an African American pastor. Most of the time when the global organization went into the different parts of Kenya, it would be all white, all Caucasian. Nothing wrong with that. God knows no color, even though we put a lot of emphasis on it. But because of that connection, that kindred spirit, that Pastor Pifus had and the pastor there, that started the relationship. And from there, it's just, grown to the place where we're doing now this type of development work.
So how did you, Judith Warren, get involved in this? A lot of people attended church. Many people probably went over to the village and visited. I understand you went. So how was it that you were the one selected to head up this campaign?
Well, since that first trip that I went on in 2010, it's just been a calling and a desire in my heart to help and to serve and to really have this type of building relationship for people that are so appreciative. They have less than the poorest person in this country, but they're not discouraged. They're appreciative, and you come back, feeling like you got more out of it than what they provided. So it felt really good to be able to be put in a position to serve and to be asked to lead this campaign.
Well, how has it been for you as a leader of this campaign to bring clean drinking water into South Africa? Not on trucks, not by airplane, but you all are going to go over there and provide digging wells, water wells. You're going to dig wells to bring the water up from the ground? How difficult is that going to be? No?
Digging. Well, we aren't doing it. The people in Kenya are doing the work. We're coordinating, we're fundraising, but we aren't going over there to wells. And wells are not even the method that's used anymore. So it's become more advanced, and it's safer water when they can bore a hole in the ground, take a drill and dig a hole, create a borehole, put a borehole in the ground, and from there connect pipes that run underground and up out of the ground. And you connect a faucet to it, just like we have faucets at our kitchen, outdoors. That's the same type of faucet that that has been connected for them to get water from. So wells are no longer utilized because, they're not the 21st century way of providing a source of water. So we had contractors. So we had so we had contractors, or the pastor has been our project manager in Kenya, and he has arranged for the contractor, the geologist, the surveyor. It's a very technically sound process for creating a water source, much unlike what has been done over the years.
Wow, that's unique. Have you seen that process work in Kenya?
Oh yeah, yeah. It's working across Africa, Zimbabwe, Zambia, South Africa, Ghana. That's the process that's being used now. Boreholes, drilling for boreholes, creating. You can have a water storage tank where and with this process we're even use solar panels. So it's current technology that's being utilized, and not just having wells with a bucket, that goes down into the well and bring up water. That's not an efficient way, nor provides the cleanest water using wells.
Amazing. So will there be actual pipes going into the village homes, or will they have to go to one central location to get their water and carry it back to their homes? And then how will the water get to the garden areas where they're growing their plants and farming?
Yeah, getting the water to their homes. The pipes come from the borehole, connected up out of the ground with a faucet, just like a water. If you're in a park or in some outdoor place where you would have a faucet, you turn it off and on.
Right.
So they still bring their large containers, fill that with water, then they have to take it home. We're not providing any from the pipe to the home. That's way beyond our scope and resources. So we are providing water that they can still carry home and take care of all of their personal needs and household needs. What was the second part of your question?
And getting that water to the fields.
I got caught up in explaining how they get to the water, so I forgot.
Right. I was saying, how will they get the
irrigation
water to?
Yeah, so that can be done. Well, you run a hose. So you could run a hose from the faucet out to the field. Or you could have, a container with a hose on it that can then water the field.
Amazing. Living water is so important. And a lot of times, we think about, we just recently had a lot of rain and water, and people in Africa have a problem with that. There is not a lot of rainfall there. And why is that the case?
I'm not sure why it's the case, except, the weather patterns have changed, as we all know about climate change. And over the years, decades, it's just been a shift in also the direction of the water. So I think in many parts of Africa and probably some other countries, it's seasonal rains. And so it's just something they don't have any control over, in terms of, so it's a rainy season that happens around March, April, around this time of year, where it can rain for a specific number of days, and that's it until the seasonal rains come again the next year or maybe later this year.
Wow. So let's talk about this night in Africa coming up. When and where and how can people find out more information about it?
The event, An Evening in Africa, is occurring on April 25th at the Heritage Center on the campus of Zion Global Ministries in Westchester, Ohio. It is a ticketed event, and we are pretty close to being sold out, which is a good thing. So the event will include African-themed food, African dishes, some that taste very similar to what we're used to eating, because that's our common heritage. We are having music, a performance by the children from the ministry, music, and then a video presentation that will explain more of the story that we've been on, this journey that we've been on. It will explain all of that, show all that with vivid pictures, and we hope that we are able to raise some money out of this event as well. So like I said, we can cap off our campaign.
And so one thing, people like to wear their African attire, so I know that is truly welcome for this event.
Yes, yeah. We are encouraging them to wear their most festive African attire, or if they don't have it, don't let that be a reason not to come.
Wow. So you've been working on this project for how long? How long have you been working on this project?
How long? We started working on the project in the latter part of, early of June, early of last year, the 24th. We kicked off the fundraising around mid-year in 2023. And, fundraising kind of has highs and lows. And so we had to wait until we had raised enough money to start the construction and to start the project. So we were able to complete the phase one, the construction, the drilling, so forth, around July of last year.
Well, Zion Global Ministries is headed by the family of Reverend Freddie T. Pifus. A lot of people know him and love the ministry and love what they do. In fact, after I left my service today, I came back at home and caught a bit of his sermon afterward. And it's been a long time since I've been out to Zion Global, but I truly was inspired by his ministry, his word to the people today. So I know you guys have really got a lot of people coming out to the church. And how successful has Zion Global Ministries been?
I'm sorry, how successful has?
Yes.
Could you repeat it?
I said, how successful has Zion Global Ministries been since its inception and moving to Westchester, the beautiful church setting and everything? And have you grown? Are people still coming out there flocking to the church?
Yeah, it continues to grow. We opened recently, I think about a year ago now, a food pantry and clothes closet, Blessed to be a Blessing. We actually have a partnership with a Hispanic Latina ministry that meets on our campus. And we also are home to another, I believe it's the United Methodist Church congregation that also have their services on our campus. So we are expanding, like we said, reaching, teaching. We still have a Bible study group that meets in Walnut Hills and down in Cincinnati on a weekly basis. There's another ministry, another branch of Zion Global in Northern Kentucky, pastored by Pastor Ken and Shelley Webb. So there's many outlets and ways that we are connecting and building up God's kingdom.
Indeed. I know I hadn't talked to you in a couple of years. I remember the last time we spoke, you were out talking about your book you wrote, More Than a Conqueror. Tell us about that for just a bit, and how are things going in your life today?
Yeah, my book was kind of a memoir of my journey going through breast cancer diagnosis. I'm now a 22-year survivor. So I'm very thankful for that. No recurrences. And I'm actively involved with a breast cancer support group, survivor and women going through treatment now. So that's kind of a learning for me, because so much of the treatment and aftercare has made great progress since I went through my experience. But the book allowed me to really connect with many women, not only in Ohio, but in Texas, Indiana. So it really helped me to connect and to encourage women. Is what I wanted to do, to inspire and encourage women as they're going through their journey.
Indeed. Thank you so much. I'll give you another opportunity to invite people out to Zion Global Missions Evening in Africa. When is it? Where is it? And you say you might not have a lot of tickets left.
Thank you. So Zion Global Missions is the nonprofit arm of Zion Global Ministries. So we're all one, all one organization, so to speak. But the event, April 25th, an evening in Africa. And we want to help to transport and bring liveliness, lively music, great food, great video production to see exactly what's been going on the ground, and a time to even help support the work. So we hope people will be able to come out. You can get tickets online through our website, www.zionglobal.org. mission.org. And you'll see a link that pops up that you can purchase a ticket, but they are going fast.
Excellent. Well, thank you for all of your time today, Judith. God bless you. God keep you strong and healthy. And may that water for living water be so successful for the people in Kenya.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. God bless you. Thank you so much, Judith. And thank you all for joining us today on Issues and Opinions with Edna Parrish.
God
Thank you.
bless. Good to see you joining us today on Issues and Opinions.
Thanks for tuning in to Straight Talk Live with renowned radio pioneer Edna Howell-Parrish, the program dedicated to presenting thought-provoking issues and opinions with the goal of challenging listeners to re-examine their assumptions and expand their opinions and give thought to new ideas and concepts to better their lives and the lives of others. Join us next week for another opportunity to participate in making the world better. So until next week, live your best life from your friends at Straight Talk Live and host Edna Howell-Parrish.